Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Complaint Free Life. And I should say, happy Friday to you all. So, today's topic that I want to talk about is how to stop being afraid of transitioning. So, you know that I help people transition from the life that they don't like to the life they like. This is my job. Now, whenever I coach people, whenever I help people get to where they want to be, there is always the fear. And this is the one that I really want to dive deep into it. So, first, I want to show you where the problem is and why that problem exists. We'll go step by step. Therefore, it may actually be a bit longer than usual podcast that you've listened to me. First, we'll dive into the problem of why that is and why that is, right? So therefore, I will also like to bring your attention to how you could also coach yourself around this topic in this way, the way that I'm going to show you. So the first, we'll talk about the problem. Then we'll talk about the specific solution to that problem, the real problem, because oftentimes we have several layers of problem and we tend to address the first layer of the problem and not really look into the second and third layers of the problem. So that's why I will really try to help you get to the bottom of the problem and how to address that problem. And that solution was the process of how to solve that problem, right? And that process will then lead us to a particular result that we want. And once we have that, then we can also start thinking about transitioning. So instead of making a decision about whether to transition or not in the current state where you are, I suggest that you do this first and then bring yourself to a particular state of mind where that fear level is way decreased and way below the threshold that you can handle, and then you make your decision. Okay, makes sense? Okay. So let's first start with the one problem that I hear a lot that humanitarians talk about, which is I'm afraid of transition, right? So this is the problem statement that they make. Obviously, the next question I ask is why? Why are you afraid of transitioning? They will state me these answers or reasons why. So usually is what if it's not going to work out? What if I will lose everything that I have built so far? Um, what if I will also lose all my privileges and status and how I may not be as respected as before by other people, how they will perceive me, right? What if I will not make the other thing successful as I did this one? These are, or I will of course lose the stability in a sense of I will not have my pensions, I will not have my insurance and all this stuff. So this is the first layer. We have the problem of I am afraid of transitioning, and the why question led us to these answers. Let's go to the second layer of this. Right? So the second layer of problem is they are afraid of replicating whatever they have or even making a better life than they have now. They're afraid that that's not going to happen. This is the second layer. Now, let's ask again the question of why. Why are you afraid of replicating what you have, or better yet, creating even a better circumstance than you have now? Right? So when we ask that question, the answer probably is lurking there is something like, I don't trust myself, or I don't trust whatever I'm going to do that's going to sustain my life to make it the way I want to. This will be the answer. If you haven't answered that before, it's fine. So this is likely to be the answer of us not trusting that we are able to replicate whatever we have created so far, or even better, in a sense that creating a new circumstance for ourselves, that we are afraid that we're not going to be able to do that. So that's the, what was it? Because then I wrote it down. So that's why. So the answer to the second layer of question of being afraid, sorry, my mom is calling. So being afraid to replicating or creating new circumstance is probably the answer lies, I don't trust myself to make that happen, or I don't trust my destiny to make that happen, or I don't think I'm able, some version of it. Now let's go to the third layer of the problem. And the third layer of problem is, why do you not trust yourself to make it happen, right? So what is the problem there is that why are you not trusting yourself to make that happen? And here are the answers that could possibly come up. And of course, you can think for yourself what your answers will be. Here are the answers that's likely to come up. Something like, I don't really believe that we create our results in life. Or even if we do believe, I think we don't really do that conscious effort of, these are the things I do, these are the things I believe, and therefore this is the result I'm getting. I think we don't really do that consciously, and therefore we don't tend to believe that our results depend on us, on our thinking, on our mindset, right? And our success does not really depend on us, but depends on many other people, or it just happened to be this way, or I just kept trying and things have somehow worked out, but I don't really know how. So you can see that the answers are something like, life is like this, I happen to get what I have now, and I want something else, but I'm afraid. So in other words, we are not really owning our results. We're not really owning our actions that we take. We're not really owning how those actions are being created, which is by our mindset, by our feelings. Sorry about that. It seems like everyone's trying to reach to me now. So when we have this third layer of problem and the answers, then we get to the bottom of it. If you feel like you haven't gotten to the bottom of it, you can always keep asking your question until you come to this layer where it is about beliefs. Now, the real beliefs that are happening here, or the if we make it even fourth layer, let's say, then the problem we could say here is that our results don't depend on us, is the belief, right? So the core belief that we have is our results, or the way that we create things in our lives, the way we create our lives doesn't really depend on us. It depends on other people, it depends on other forces, or whatever we want to believe. So this is the core belief that we have now. Now, when we have this core belief of our results does not depend on us, the reason why we think that is because, as I said, life is just how it is. Why it should depend on us? Obviously, we can take a lot of responsibility, but we can't really take 100% of the responsibility because we're not alone in this world. So we always interact with other people, and the result is the interaction of the two instead of mine. This is how we're thinking. Now, when we have this layer, the last layer, so to say, where we ended at the mindset level, which is the belief level, now the solution is very simple: to take responsibility, to really own all the results that we are creating currently, right? We are owning how we've created until now, what we've created, and we are capable of creating more, and choosing to trust ourselves that we can do that and start doing it. This is the solution. So in other words, feeling in charge that all the things that we're creating, we are actually creating, even if it's in interaction with other people. We are owning them. We are choosing to trust ourselves to create more or different results if we want to. This is the solution. Now, when I say that this is the solution, what oftentimes happens is then people tell me, well, how do I really take 100% of responsibility all of the time? Or how do I really own what I have? Or how do I really trust myself that I'm going to make everything work the way I want, because I have a lot of responsibility, because I have a lot of dependence, because I need to be making money, or because I need to be creating certain stability. So we have all the reasons why we want to get to the level of being there where the solution is. And this is the process that you can follow as of now. At this point, when you've listened, after finishing listening to me, you can follow this process of seeing those beliefs that you have identified in the end, right? After going layer by layer, as you remember, we've gone layer by layer, and then we've landed at this level of beliefs, the mindset of the core belief of what we believe to be true about the world. And that is, if the belief is, like I was saying, that I don't think it depends on me. Now, that is the belief that we want to start questioning it. And the way that we can do that is by coaching ourselves, like the way that I just did. You keep asking questions and ask deeper questions, and then you write down all the things of why we believe that to be true, right? Why we believe that our results don't depend on us. And then turn those beliefs around and start questioning it and say, what if they did depend on us? What if all the things that we've created with our own minds, with our own intelligence, with our own thinking, with our own tools, skills? What if we've created that 100% of the time, even if other people were involved in us getting promoted, in us getting the contract? What if we actually did create it? What if then, right? So we turned it around and we started questioning, and then we start finding evidence for it. Why or how it is true. We find evidence that that's the reason why it's true. This is the reason why it's true, right? So we're coaching ourselves of asking questions and turning things around, our beliefs, and starting to question them. So once we coach it, then we decide, this is important, we decide that we want to believe now this instead of this, and start implementing it in our own lives every day if necessary. Start implementing it by, what if the person who makes decisions or takes actions from this mindset, not from this mindset? It's a choice matter. We choose from being the person whose results does not really depend on us to being the person whose results depend on us. And we start deciding and keep taking action, deciding and keep taking action. And once we start seeing those actions result in things that we like, we start reinforcing that belief. And we keep doing it even if we're failing, to use it at a time. There will be a lot of times where we'll be failing, and that's okay. We keep choosing it anyway. Even if we're not seeing the results yet, it's fine. Not seeing the results simply means that our mindset hasn't caught up in the place that we want to. So that's why we keep believing, choosing and believing that we're someone whose result depend on us, meaning we create our own results. We're those people. And when we are at that level, then we make a decision to transition. The level of fear will go down significantly because we start believing that our results really depend on us and not on other people. We can create whatever we want to in whichever way we want to. Yes, it will be challenging, but staying where we are is equally challenging or more challenging. So we have to decide for ourselves. We get to choose what works best for us. The more we practice this chosen mindset of I'm the person who creates these results, and we start working towards that results, even if at the times when it's failing, we keep working, we keep finding evidence for how it's true. And at some point we land at the belief that says, actually, I can do anything I want, and let me go and create it. This was my experience when I was deciding to resign from my previous job. Was I got myself to the point where I was really believing that I can create whatever result I want. This is within my power. If I have created everything until now, I can equally create more with those skills, with more skills, developing more and creating those skills, those results that I want. This is where we know how we're creating the results. So the transitioning part could be this process of going from identifying where the problem is, finding what the solution is, and then going through the process, the plan of executing that solution until we get the result we want. So my dears, having said this, the bigger picture I've shown and where we started, I've shown, there will be also many results that you will see in between. That some of the results will be, you will be more aware of how you've been dependent on other people's opinions or how you've been dependent on other people's decisions, and how you now want to take in charge and be in charge of it and not be dependent on other people's opinions. So this could be one of the ways that you could start measuring how you're changing, right? So the dependency level of opinions and actions of other people will be decreasing and decreasing to the point where you will no longer want to be dependent on their opinions and actions. So you let them be who they are and you become the way you are, right? So this also requires you to become more honest with yourself, more honest with your feelings, with the way you show up. This could be another way that you could start seeing the shift and the changes. The other way then, what happens is that you start increasing your level of feeling in charge, feeling like you know what you're doing and how you're doing, feeling like you can create whatever you want to, not only at work, but in your personal lives. Then you start also setting boundaries. Setting boundaries of these are the things you're going to take up. These are the things you're not going to take up. This is how you want to be then productive, to make also those boundaries more strong, so that you don't allow yourself to work after work. For instance, you rest deeply as much as you want after work. And then you start balancing your life and then your emotional well-being and your financial well-being, because you no longer want to be overeating or over drinking or overdoing things, over shopping or whatever, and then you start balancing so that your finances will be reflected as well. And then you get to the point of realizing that you could continue working where you are now if you want to, or you could also do something else. You can do so many other things. You start seeing there are so many options available, because you will now have rested, have realized how much you can be in charge. You've taken responsibility. You have started feeling honest and true to yourself. And then you think, well, if I can stay where I am and enjoy what I do, or if I can go and do other things and also create something new, you can then decide whichever ones you choose. It's totally up to you. And that's when you start feeling this inner freedom. You start relying on your own wisdom. You start relying on your freedom that guides you where you can go. And this is where the amazing part of enjoying life starts. And as I said, it's not going to be where you will stop having any problems or any challenges. It's where you realize that any challenge, any problem, you can solve. You can always solve for it, because you have all these tools available. You have all this freedom. You have all this feeling of being in charge, believing how much you can do, creating results, showing yourself all this evidence. And then you start building more momentum of all the things that you're creating. This gives you even more boost, and you believe more, and you start creating more results, not being afraid of solving those challenges on the way. Okay, my dears, this is what I wanted to tell you today. I hope this was useful for you, and I also hope that you will try to coach yourself around it, or get coaching from me, and then we will get to that transition, that life that you really love living, instead of keep struggling with the life that you feel like you're not in control. Okay, my dears, have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday. Bye.